Hi, how are you as you find yourself making the transition from summer to fall? For those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, and for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, you're transitioning into summer, aren't you? Which is really exciting. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, how are you doing with the transition? For me, I'm in a big transition at the moment. I live, as many of you who know me know, oh yeah, by the way, my name is Moon Title. For those of you, this is my first time meeting. And if you want to hear more about my work, you can find me at presenceheals.com and womenswellnesscircle.com. And yeah, for many of you know that I live outside in a screen tree house for 5 months of the year, and I am beginning to make my transition back into indoor spaces, which is a huge transition from sharing my life with the stream and the birds and the deer and the beaver and the chipmunks and squirrels, raccoons, coyotes, red foxes, and fisher cats, hummingbirds, dragonflies, Luna moths, and so on, sharing indoor space with some plant friends and some walls. So yeah, I'm in a big transition, and that has me thinking about how we all are, and specifically thinking about, I've been thinking a lot today about the different aspects of our beingness. So to name a few, we have our bodies, we have the longings and desires and needs of our bodies, we have our emotional hearts and the longings, desires, and needs of our emotional hearts, our deeper spiritual hearts. We have our brains, we have our nervous systems, our energy fields, our emotional tides. There's so many different aspects to our being. And what happens when those aspects of our beingness want and possibly need different things? So, for example, my spirit still very much wants to be living outside, and my spirit doesn't mind being really cold. But my body said that, a week of 32 at night with several days that were 50 and rainy and chilly in the daytime was starting to feel like too much. And we often have those longings, right? For those of us that are really emotionally sensitive, but also really sensual, perhaps like we would want to have sex with a lot of different people, but emotionally, maybe we can't handle that, just different examples. Or we want that chocolate cake because it feels so good in our tongue, but then it doesn't feel good as our system is digesting it. Or a friend really needs something from us, and our heart says, yes, and our nervous systems upregulate because it's too much for what's on our plate right now. So, for example, those are many different aspects of our beingness. And what happens is sometimes we can get stuck in a rut where one aspect of our being is determining our choices. And so, for example, if we have a really loving, generous heart that just always says yes, 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 and we tend to not tend to the needs of our body or listen to our nervous systems, we might become burnt out, for example. I was just talking with a client about that this morning. We were deeply looking at parts, which is part of what got me thinking about this and wanting to share it with you today. And so, what we want to do is we want to be able to listen to all the different voices inside and to acknowledge them. So to my spirit that is longing to still be with the stars and with the flowing stream, and hearing the deer jump and splash and swim at night. And yeah, this last week I was awakened by lots of flocks of geese flying high overhead, in the wee hours, probably 2 in the morning, judging by the darkness, honking, honking, honking. It's beautiful. And my spirit loves that aspect of life, being awakened from the dreaming state by a jumping deer or howling coyotes or honking geese. But my body was starting to get cold, and my body had some needs. So when we get into those places where within our own being we have conflicting needs, conflicting desires, longings, aspirations, how do we choose? How do we decide what we're doing? Which voice is going to lead the way? And so I just invite this for your consideration. I share, different practices, but in brief, just connecting with those different parts, giving them a voice, giving them a seat at the table. Sometimes I do exercises with my clients or my students or participants in my groups where we picture being like at a board meeting. And so every part gets a seat at the table and gets to speak their voice and say what they want and what they feel and what they need and what's moving through them. And what I find is that's really helpful, because when we shut down parts of ourselves, then we begin to suppress aspects of our beingness and aspects of the flow of vital energy through our system. And there starts to be impact on our health, on our vitality, on our joy, and on our happiness in life when we shut down different parts of ourselves. And so I just want to invite you to consider that. And if you want to deepen into this and more, I have two options at this moment for working with me. One is, doing one-to-one work. Please reach out if you'd like to do that. The other thing is I'm about to launch two new small groups for 6 to 8 women to come together in a really deep, sacred, connected, and safe space for healing. And these small groups are some of my favorite part of the work that I do, because I find that healing in community is deeply, deeply powerful. Um, it really is our nature. We are wired for social connection and for witnessing, and there's so much healing that happens when a group of women can gather together with the intention for everyone to receive healing and deep community connection. And it's really beautiful the way that you begin to find that you're mirroring each other. So you each have aspects that are calling for healing. And when you step into the center to do your piece of healing, it evokes healing in all of the women in the circle in different ways. And there's a lot of synergy and synchronism, and the healing that happens is so incredibly powerful. So if you feel intrigued by this, I'll put a link down below for you to join. I've got 2 taster sessions coming up next week, and I'd love to have you. So if you're longing for connection, support, and deep healing as we are making this seasonal transition, I would love to have you. Okay, Moon Title with presenceheals.com and womenswellnesscircle.com. Bye for now.